This is Governor Bob Ehrlich. Good day, doctors.
George Allen here. Good day, doctors.
Go!
You're watching Dr. Politics.
They're Dr. Politics. He's the one to see. Breaking down the news with sharp analysis. From Congress halls to campaign trails, he tells the truth when all else fails. They're Dr. Politics. Dr. Politics. Exposing the spin, the lies and tricks. Dr. Politics. Dr. Politics. He calls it straight, no politics as usual. Love from backroom deals to primetime fights. He sheds some light and sets things right. Debates, elections, policy. He cuts through all the DC sleaze. Oh, Dr. Politics. He's got the facts. Dr. Politics. No holding back. Dr. Politics. Go away. Dr. Politics, he's got the facts. Dr. Politics, no holding back. Dr. Politics.
Good evening, everyone. It is Happy New Year. It is January 2nd, 2026.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Yeah. And we are joined by the Fantastic Four. Chris will join us in a minute. So how'd you guys enjoy New Year's Eve? You guys make any resolutions, anything like that?
I want to know who stayed up.
Not me. I was up, but I didn't stay up. In other words, I heard the fireworks going, but I didn't watch the countdown.
I was lying in bed, and at some point in time, I heard some fireworks. You know, and it was like,
Yeah.
I have long ago given up staying up to midnight.
Yeah, me too.
I tried to stay up. I fell asleep around 11:30, I guess. And just because I wanted to see because remember this year they were going to do the America 250. I figured, that's something neat to see. But I saw it on rerun, and so it was fine. I really like technology, what they're doing. I tell you, them lighting up the Washington Monument with all the images. Excuse me, that was really phenomenal. You know, they did that when NASA turned 60. They actually did the rocket launch projected that on there.
No, that's interesting because there's a lot of criticism for that, for what they've done because it's happening under Trump. But I kind of wondered, if it'd been done in the past, they're just amping it up, for a very good reason.
Because when NASA turned 60, guess who was the president? Autopen. President Autopen. And they had no issues when President Autopen had that done. But all in all, it was a great celebration. I can't wait to see what the president has in store for the 4th of July. And one of the things that I'm really, really enjoying, doesn't really matter that much, the renaming of the Kennedy Center to the Trump Kennedy Center. And I just love the idea that they're going to start building that arch in Arlington. I think it would be cool if they actually extended the arch that goes over the road, and they could have an elevator to go up to the top and take pictures from put like an observation deck on top of the arch. That would be awesome.
So you want it to be like the St. Louis Arch.
Yeah, well, not quite like that. I like, because St. Louis Arch, you can't go outside, I think.
Right. No, it's all. Yeah, you can. You go up this special elevator thing or whatever, and you get to the top.
Yeah, I've never been. My father went to the top of it. I have flown over the arch in St. Louis and I've driven by it going down 70. But I never stopped and went there. But it looks kind of cool. Looks like a cool. In fact, there was a Finnish architect that did it, and he's the same guy that designed Dulles Airport.
Yes, he
I
is.
can't pronounce his name, but it's Arno Zarini. I don't know. Starts with an S.
Yeah.
And it's funny. They're going to be, according to the president, going to be tearing down Dulles and building a brand new airport. I wonder if it's going to be called the Trump Dulles Airport when it's rebuilt.
I think Trump's got to stop trying to put his name on everything, though. I think that overdoes it. Like the Kennedy Center, I should just say the Kennedy Center myself.
Look, the president he's the chairman of the Kennedy Center Commission or whatever, or the board there.
Well, he made himself he did it himself though. it's not like there's a lot of people out there clamoring saying you need to become the head of the Kennedy
chairman,
Center.
the chairman of the Kennedy Center.
Yeah,
it's just sort of a needless. Just don't needlessly upset people, and I think you're adding this name to things.
Dave, my view is this, right? If you're that much of a snowflake that the president putting his name on the Kennedy Center upsets you more than the rise of terrorism, basically,
well, I don't think
Minnesota.
Well, I don't think that's. I don't think that's what people say.
That.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying, if leftists are like troubled by it, they're living in a completely different world.
Well, I'm not thinking of them. I'm just thinking your average person probably thinks.
I was watching
Trump. It probably doesn't think we need to add his name to all kinds of.
It's funny. I was watching our friend Tom from Trains Are Awesome. He did a video because now the yellow line is going to go all the way from one end to the other, all the way to Greenbelt. And he's there at the Reagan Airport. He goes, Reagan Airport, where Congress, and he mentions Congressman Barr for forcing Metro to rename the train station. He goes, they had to spend hundreds of thousands. And I'm thinking, like, that troubles you, but Metro is spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to rename stations. Like White Flint is now North Bethesda. And it's like, don't, whatever, but check out his channel. He does some great stuff on train stuff. He also did a little ad lib on. It's nice that we live in an age where presidents and people aren't putting their names on everything. He was taking a slight at the president, but yeah.
But I mean, I think we talked about this before. I mean, just that Trump doesn't need to do this. I mean, we don't know what he's going to do here before he leaves office, but it does seem right now that he has this deep desire, because we talked about a new commander stadium that he's kind of pushing for his name on that. He's already got this Institute for Peace named after him, at the State Department.
Didn't he shut down the Institute for Peace? Didn't we shut that down? Didn't Doge shut down the Institute for Peace?
Yeah, it's called, apparently, the last thing I saw was it's called the Donald J. Trump Institute for Peace. So he's not. If you put his name on something, he's not going to shut it down. So there's the key. There's the key for the liberals. Actually, is put there. If you want to save something, it's like the Donald Trump Corporation for Public Broadcasting. It'll probably still be there.
Or the Donald Trump Department of Education.
That's right. Just keep throwing that out there, and it's like,
Donald Trump Penn.
I want him to name a garbage dump after Joe Biden. You know why I want to do that? Because if you remember, all those crazy liberals in California named a garbage dump after President George W. Bush after he left. I think President Trump needs to name another garbage dump, or even a nuclear waste, or anything that's horrible after Joe Biden. Is it me being petty? Yes, I am being petty about it, but it's fine. Come on, Mr. President, do us a solid name. Like, I don't know, name one of those garbage barges off of New York City after Joe Biden.
Well, the argument is the Ronald Reagan building in D.C. was a kind of a dig at Reagan because it housed all these federal employees. I don't know.
That housed the FBI.
Huh?
Now it houses the FBI.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
But
they're
that
moving
was
the
the
FBI
theory.
there. Yeah.
But no, I mean, I don't have any. I don't, I mean, the Reagan Legacy Project was also involved in the Reagan building, frankly. I think,
But here's
I
the
think,
problem, I think, with the precedent. If Trump gets away with naming all these things after him, what happens when you get a Democrat president? They'll start naming all kinds of things after themselves, and I just don't like. I don't really like the politics of
come on,
name
Dave,
changing.
are you saying that turnabout is we're gonna see they'll go the other way when there's a horrible
Well,
Democrat?
I'm more traditional, so I like the Kennedy Center. I just think keep it as the Kennedy Center, and other things. I mean, I would just leave.
I've got a compromise for you, right?
I like
Uh,
even still. I know this has nothing to do with government, but I even liked when it was RFK Stadium. RFK Stadium. You don't need to change it. So I don't know. I just in general, I don't like all the politics
But
behind name changes.
here's what I'm proposing. This is a compromise. Lafayette Park, who really goes there? It's only anti-nuclear protesters and hippies who don't realize it's 2025 hanging out there. Why don't we build the Trump Performing Arts Center there to rival the Kennedy Center?
Because
In
it's too
Lafayette.
small.
Although I don't mind, I think the ballroom's a good idea. I think you should build the ballroom. I'm fine with that. No problem.
By the way, the president is learning what every homeowner in America, when they try to do an addition or build a new home, bureaucracy.
Hold on a sec.
But so Chris, how was your New Year's? Did you stay up to midnight?
I did not. So the little ones were excited. So Izzy and Lainey, the 6 and 8-year-olds, that was the biggest night of the year. They got to stay up past midnight. They thought it was the greatest thing in the world. So Gadiatu and the little one stayed up. But my son was getting ready for a soccer tournament. My daughter, who goes to gymnastics every morning at 6 a.m, was wiped out. So we were all in bed early, and it was my wife and the little one. So it was a good, quiet night. It was fun.
Yeah.
And there's
So
nothing wrong with that, right?
no,
I have
there
no
isn't.
problem with it.
Look, I am like fighting, and I only made it to level 4. I am still kind of playing catch up on sleep and I didn't even make it to midnight. I fell asleep around 11:30, 11:45 in that time frame. Which is like you're so close, But sometimes when the Sandman comes, you gotta pay his dues. When the Sandman comes, so to speak. But
There was a time I enjoyed it. I mean, we'd get invited over to someone's house to do this, and so we'd show up later in the evening, so that we'd spend about maybe 2.5 hours, and then wait for the whole midnight thing to happen and all that. That was fun, but I was a lot younger, and I was willing to do that. But at my age now, and the fact that I want to be at the gym the next morning and all these other things, is like, yeah, my priorities have changed. What am I getting out of waiting till midnight? Is this so I can say I waited to usher in the new year? I don't care.
Not to interrupt, but
I'll be there when I wake up.
well, I can never imagine I'd ever have any desire, and I don't know how anyone else would have a desire, to stand in the sea of humanity to do a countdown, and you're going to be there for hours waiting. I would think I need to, and I'm not that old with the prostate, but I'd be thinking, okay, where do I can go to the bathroom? I'm not.
Dave, pre 9/11 Times Square, that was something you had to do once in a lifetime. It was so much fun.
Yep.
Everyone should do. By the way, for me, the Millennial New Year's Eve party, we started partying when the Millennium switched in somewhere out in New Zealand, Auckland, I guess it may have been the first place that.
It's usually it's Australia is where the first ones that get it.
Is it Australia, or I thought New Zealand got it before Australia?
One of those. Every time I see the news, they always talk about Australia as the first country that goes. So I don't know.
We were toasting the New Year's in every time zone, every time, because they were showing New Year's celebrations, because that was, and after that, every New Year's Eve party celebration is just kind of paled in comparison since the millennial. I guess, I figured this year may have been different, but remember, I was a lot younger. in 2000.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I don't
Well,
know. I mean, people are kind of drinking less too in a lot of ways too. So
Yeah,
I'm not sure
yeah.
people are celebrating quite like they used to.
For me,
Yeah,
the
I
difference
mean-
is, well, the ex used to celebrate, so of course I would be celebrating New Year's Eve, but I haven't really since. So, but she would do an elaborate spread, and everything was big for the New Year's. I didn't do a countdown. I just, like Don, I heard the fireworks going off outside, and I realized, okay, I guess we passed midnight. So that was it. And I would avoid the roads too, because as my father used to say, avoid the drunks. So I'm not going to be on the
Yeah.
road. Really.
And by the way, if we tried to recreate that Millennium New Year's, we'd be toasting Mountain Dew because I don't think we could do anything harder these days than Mountain Dew or Jolt. Remember Jolt Cola, Don?
I remember Jolt. Is that illegal? I think that was even more gas, more caffeine or sugar than
Yes.
Red Bull.
It had twice the caffeine of a Diet Coke, I think, is what this
Yeah, I
one
remember
was.
Jolt. I remember Mountain Dew. Mountain Dew was rough because oh my god, I used to.
Didn't they have a Mountain Dew Live Wire or something like that? That was even more caffeinated than a regular Mountain Dew.
As a little kid, I remember when I go to the pool, I'd have Mountain Dew, and yeah, that's a lot of sugar. That'll keep you going.
Caffeine, yeah.
Ever talk to anyone that's deployed to Iraq or Afghanistan? Ask them about Rippets.
Rippets?
Okay.
With this concentrated caffeine drink, and Marines would just load up their cargo pockets with Rippets and go out on patrol. So, in
Is
that
that like a
vein
5
of unhealthy drinks, Rippets is definitely at the top of the list.
Wow.
Is that like the 5-hour energy?
5-hour
steroids?
energy would be like a health drink compared to Rippets.
Oh wow.
You know what's funny? I used to drink when I used to drive. I used to just chug those 5-hour energies back, and then one year, I'm driving back from probably that wasn't Florida. Maybe Florida, maybe not Florida, but anyways, I could actually feel my heart beating. You could hear it. Yeah, like I put my hand. I was like, wow, okay, I gotta stop drinking these things. So I haven't had one since then. You know.
Even it's interesting. I was a Coca-holic in a sense. Coca-Cola. I
still
would
do.
drink it.
I still
Yeah,
do.
I would drink it big time. When you knew me, Dwight, back in those days, I was a big Coke drinker. I've stopped drinking Coke, but I'm now to the point that I don't even know if I could drink a full Coke. It's just too much for me. But when
This
I was a
takes me
kid, I drink a lot of.
2.5 days to finish.
Okay.
I used to be able to
So-
drink 2-liter bottles of Mountain Dew a day.
Oh wow,
Easily.
wow.
Easily.
Wow.
Sometimes 3.
Yeah. I was
Then again-
similar. Yeah, I was similar, but I stopped doing that. I don't think I can do that anymore.
Then again, I also used to eat like 4 bagels with cream cheese and fresh mozzarella.
Yeah.
I can barely get through one bagel now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't do caffeinated drinks in general, but for forever I was always drinking plenty of soda pop.
Mhm.
And, I eventually switched just to bottled water, and
That's good.
the only time we drink soda is like you get the Costco hot dog and soda.
Yeah.
That or something like that or whatever, or if it comes with a meal at Raising Cane's when we do that, but even then it's just a Diet Coke or a Coke
Mhm.
Zero if we can get it. So
Yeah.
we keep the caffeine down and the calories down when we can. But yeah, I don't miss it. I mean, I enjoy just drinking plenty of water. I think that's just better.
Yeah. Well, it's good you can
Yeah,
do that. For me, I always crave maybe the carbohydrates. So
Hey, let me throw out a question to you guys. I mean, we all grew up drinking tap water, correct?
mhm.
Oh, yeah.
I'm over at my sister's, and her grandson, my great nephew Chris, is there. I just take some water out of the tap and drink it, and he's like, "You're not allowed to drink that. That's bad." For you." I'm like, "Let me tell you a little story about a garden hose."
Right. Exactly. That's exactly right.
Have you ever seen the movie Idiocracy?
Nah.
Oh, that is a classic. If you haven't seen it, I'm not even going to attempt to explain it, but there's a whole segment about water versus drinks with electrolytes in it. So I strongly recommend Idiocracy. And we'll talk
I
about
think
it.
Freakonomics talks a little bit about stuff like that too. I think they're the sequel to Freakonomics they had. I think it was Freakonomics 2. Had something in there about why people pay for bottled water now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Andy
Yeah,
Rooney did a really good segment on 60 Minutes. How he goes to a restaurant, goes, people are paying $10 for a bottle of water.
Yeah.
They could just get it from the tap for free, but maybe the glass changes the flavor of it. So
I think people did it originally because I guess of cleaner, right? I mean, I thought it was cleaner to drink bottled water.
Did
I assume.
environmentalist types though? I mean, didn't they love the idea of bottled water? They thought that was great, and now they pretty much hate it because of the bottles,
the plastic bottles, yeah.
the plastic.
I drink bottled water, but now I'm hearing it's not really that good for you. It has something to do with the plastic. I don't know.
Oh, they're talking about the microplastics now. Those guys are scaring everybody on microplastics. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know how you avoid some of that. I mean, if you drink the water fast enough anyway, I don't think that's really a big issue. I think the microplastics are kind of a thing that happen, as the plastic itself may break down. But if it's water in a plastic bottle, there's really nothing like acidity or anything like that probably works against it. But I think most people, if you have just the standard 16.9 ounce, bottle of water that you get, you probably drink that fairly fast. I think the risk factor is fairly low. And then you can argue about, do you drink spring water or do you drink, the water that's been processed, which is cheaper than say your Deer Parks and stuff like that. But I will say that when Fuji water goes on sale, I tend to buy a case here and there because I'm like,
Fuji water does taste a lot better than the other.
It's so funny about that thing. It's like, it's just like I thought it was just water, but I drink that and I'm like, this is really good water.
Do you see it regularly?
So Dwight, to your point earlier, all 4 of my kids look at me sideways when I drink out of the hose. This day, they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "This is what we grew up on. I have not outgrown that."
By the way, any of you guys go to the grocery store yesterday or today?
The grocery store
you
today?
Yeah, today or yesterday in Montgomery County, I should say.
Yeah.
Oh, the plastic bags.
Okay. Yes. Did you notice the plastic bags are all gone and you got to pay 10 cents for a paper bag now?
Wow.
Yeah, I mean the thing. I don't know, Dwight. I mean, is this not ludicrous? I mean, we
went
had
from paper to plastic. I'm old enough
I know.
to get paper bags.
They put the plastic bag tax in effect, and they encouraged everybody to pay 5 cents for the plastic bag because they thought that was better for the environment. Then they spent all these years and are like, oh, this is not working like we thought it would because it's trash here and there and everything. So now they reverse course and they ban the plastic and you can only do paper, and now you got to pay 10 cents for a bag. Unless you double bag, it's going to be a weaker bag anyway. And unless you get one with a handle, I mean, it's not as convenient as a plastic bag. I mean,
it's not. I mean, do you remember Grand Union? Are you old enough to remember Grand Union, the supermarket, Don?
Oh yeah, I shopped at Grand Union with my dad.
They had their paper bags actually had little handholds cut out.
Yeah. Oh, it's not right. Yeah.
And I want to say Acme. Yeah. Acme or Pranty Pride, one of those two used to have that too. And Magruder's used to do that. Remember, Magruder's had those handles attached to it. Unfortunately, Obamacare killed Magruder's.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think there are even some liberals in Montgomery County who think that this is kind of ridiculous.
Even our county council, by the way, pushed this through unanimously, and they're so happy about this too. They're like, we need to stop, ruining our, it's. I mean,
I oppose the bag tax. We got it eventually in Fairfax County, but I oppose that. I didn't think it was necessary.
Well, and here's something else. They want to, in Annapolis, what's going to be coming back this year during the legislative session is the bottle tax. They want to do a statewide bottle tax on bottles like these. They want to do like a little deposit fee, like the way New York, Michigan, and so on does. And newsflash, Democrats in Annapolis, a lot of these are still ending up in landfills in New York State.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But with me and the bag tax, I always had the argument that if the store wanted to give someone a bag and they wanted to take it, I just didn't think the government should step in and force it.
Oh, let me tell you how brutal the bag tax was in Montgomery County. My friend who had a store called the Toy Exchange, he sold vintage toys, right?
Mm-hmm.
He brought bags that he's already paid a nickel for once
Mm-hmm.
to the store to give people their whatever they bought in that plastic bag. He got busted by the county. The county said you're not allowed to do. I mean, he's already paid that nickel tax. Ike Leggett doesn't need to get another. He doesn't get another. You know, this is back when Ike was county exec.
Yeah, no, you got to have, you have a point there too, Dave. I mean, like the restaurants. I mean, it seems to be somewhat uneven depending upon where I am in Montgomery County, but so some of them will charge you that 5 cents to put your carryout order in the bag. Others don't have to do that. I don't like the McDonald's and the Burger Kings, the fast food joints seem to be exempt. But if I go to a Cafe Rio, which is kind of a quick service thing, but where they do a lot of carryout business, they charge that. But the restaurant, they're probably more than happy just to give you the bag, because I think collecting the bag tax and then forwarding it to the county is more of a pain than just giving you the bag, because the bags don't cost that much money per bag.
Yeah, that's right.
And so, but the county, the government puts us burden, kind of a regulatory burden on these businesses, and so they're interfering with these businesses.
Yeah.
And for my wife, I mean, she tends to try to direct her shopping. She loves going up. I think Frederick still doesn't have a bag tax. I think Howard County put one in. So she used to love Howard County. She loves it. She loves it a lot less now. So, but when she goes up to Frederick, she says like, "Yeah, I'll take a bag. I'll take." She doesn't mind doing that, because it's like the businesses are they're shown. Yeah, we'll provide you with a bag, no problem. The county, Frederick.
And by the way, that bag is already factored into what you buy.
Well, they produce. I mean, they produce. If you're a Walmart, they have produced tons of these things, right? Yeah. And it's irrespective of this bag tax. It's like they did. It kind of they've always had bags, so let them have it. Except that in essence, they were forced to go to plastic and not do paper. Sometimes there are people who like paper. I mean, growing up, that's what it was. It's like we had paper bags, and we frequently had them double bagged to make sure that they were extra strength so we could get our groceries into the car.
Yeah.
And Don, I don't know if you remember, this is going back also, speaking of the old days. Remember our newspaper recycling? Remember when we switched from paper to plastic? You weren't allowed to put your old newspapers in a plastic bag for the recycling people. You had to put those in a paper bag. And now we just have bins to put the newspapers in. And nobody gets the paper delivered for the most part, But I mean, that's some of the crazy stuff.
So the thing that gets me about the newspaper delivery, because I still get the Wall Street Journal delivered here to my home, is just so it comes in a plastic bag, just like the Washington Post would, or New York Times, or anything that gets delivered normally comes in a plastic bag, because the guys are chucking it out of their car, right? So they need to have something to throw it with. But what do you do with those plastic bags? If you want to be a responsible citizen, you can't recycle those with the recycling.
Yeah.
You have, I actually I throw them all in my car, and then every once in a while when I'm near a Giant, I go to the Giant and I just carry all these things and I stuff them in the recycling box that they have there, because they'll take plastic bags there. And the county says, like, yeah, if you've got those bags, take them to your local grocery store.
Wait, what are they, so what are the grocery store? I mean, plastic is
And
not
I don't know
all
what the grocery
plastic.
store is, because if you've ever seen those ones, at least at Giant, people throw trash in it too.
Yes.
It's a mess.
Yep. I see stuff, like, but yeah, I mean, and by the way, in addition to, Zoran took the oath of office on a Quran in a abandoned subway station, if I remember. And then his speech was so over the top. Is this really what New Yorkers voted for?
The one that jumps out is we're going to replace rugged individualism with the warmth of collectivism. Am I getting that correct? Like,
Yeah,
I don't want to misquote.
You're
It's
replacing
that ridiculous.
frigidity of rugged individualism.
I think that was terrible.
Has he not heard of the what colony was it? Not Massachusetts Bay Colony. It was the Plymouth Colony. They tried socialism in 1623 or something like that, and guess what? They found out it doesn't work. 1 year, they had collective farms, and everybody grew they were told to grow what they can grow and this and that. It failed. Following year, hey, do whatever you want, and crops went up. People worked harder, because part of that, they were saying, oh, people were being lazy because, why should I work any harder if I can only grow this much? And so people started working harder, and basically, surprise, surprise, capitalism worked.
I think I think Lenin could have given that speech, except I don't think Lenin would have sworn on the Quran. That's the one difference between Lenin and Mandami.
Well, we would have had to find some publications of.
We had in Fairfax County, we've got a weirdo pervert who's on the school board, and the weirdo pervert, who's also an atheist, swore in on some pornographic book or something that the county wanted to get out of the schools.
Yeah, I thought you were
This guy's
going
a
to say he put his hand on a copy of the Sorcerer's Stone or something like that.
Yeah, so something that they wanted to get out of the school, which they should have probably. But anyway, I digress. But Mandami was, the thing about him is it's just he doesn't really hide it. I mean, he talks about he's talked about abolishing private property. He's talked about means of production. He talks about collectivism. He says that no problem is too small for the government not to care. Now, that's a very scary thing to say, No government, no problem. So, I mean, he's hard left. He's not, I think he's more of the communist than the socialist, to be honest with you. Huh?
He is a communist. And I tell you, a lot of these members, that are running for office, the not as wacky ones are going to be primaried by wacky, so you got wacky 1.0 and wacky 5.0, and the 5.0.
Well, and this is why I think Republicans may have a shot at keeping Congress, because I don't think the Democrats can help themselves. I think they'll keep nominating these whack.
Actually, I think we will. I'll tell you why. The numbers are getting better.
Oh yeah.
Unemployment new claims went down.
Yeah.
That's the first sign before we start seeing hiring. And then maybe, this is the roar of maybe around next spring, early summer, we'll see the roar of the Trump tax cuts come into fruition.
Yeah, I hope so.
And I see your opponent, Chris, is still very concerned about trivial matters opposed to real substantive issues of the 6th district,
It's going to be I think Trone's coming at her from the left, and it's going to be fascinating. They're not going to be able to shake the Mondami effect, because as they attempt to distinguish themselves from each other, they're going to have to gravitate in the direction of the national discourse, and Mondami has seized that right now.
And there isn't a Democrat that's even condemning the language of Zoran Mondani. Not one. I mean, we've got our reprobates in our party, like Steve King of Iowa. We called him out. we called out David Duke. We called out the reprobates in our party, frankly, over the years. I mean, we do that every day with President Nixon and Vice President Agnew, But it's one of those crazy things.
And how do you address affordability whenever all you're talking about is giving stuff away?
Yep.
Now, I understand that the idea that you're going to give things away that people are, but at some point you have to generate revenue. Like you're going to have to create something that is taxable. And if all you're doing is offering things for free or handouts occasionally, you're not solving people's problems.
Yeah.
You're just putting a Band-Aid on an axe wound. You've
Yeah,
got to
it's like
address affordability at the root cause.
Yeah, I had these two friends in college. One of them, his dad was a very successful realtor, and that was like, he goes, "Oh, I don't need work. I'm going to inherit that, the realty business." And the other one, his family had like a chain of bakeries in Massachusetts, right? They had like about 15 bakeries. They made everything from cupcakes, anyways. And I was talking to him. I go, "Stu, the difference between yours and Bradford's business model is Bradford could just sit there and just collect the money from the bakery coming in. You, on the other hand, you actually have to have competent, you actually have to go out there and keep selling houses to keep the business going. You can't just sit on your laurels saying, oh, my dad built a multi-million-dollar realty firm. You got to keep with it. You can't just, I go, it's not like Heinz ketchup where you get, you make a bottle of ketchup, you forget about it, you just live off the revenues from that. I mean, just tell that to the Vanderbilts,
Yeah, I mean, look, Mondami can make all the promises he wants to, and it's easy to do that. Promises are cheap, right? But the problem he's going to be facing is, he doesn't really have taxing authority or think of this. The state is basically going to, and Governor Hochul will determine what kind of money that New York City gets, and she's definitely not on board, I think, with a lot of these ideas because they're just too costly.
She's up for re-election, Don.
Yeah, but they're too costly. I mean, you can be a liberal, and she this is fine. I mean, she would have Eric Adams, she would have been fine with another term of that. She would have been fine with she probably would have been fine with Cuomo winning or something like that. But the ideas that come out of Mondami's head, and everything like that, that's probably a little bit too much for her. Because they're like, okay, great, you want the free groceries and transportation, and you want to do more rent control. It's like, how is this going to be paid for? You don't have a solution. This is taxpayers that will have to pay for this, and it'll be very expensive. And these socialists / communists, they always think that rent control is like the thing that you have to do, but rent control is just horrible. New York has not done well with rent control. Housing is extremely expensive, and it's not going to get any better with Mondami's ideas about how to try to make things go in there. Affordability in New York, it's not going to be more affordable. No,
it's never been, I mean, New York has always been a fairly expensive. I remember going to New York City, where that was back when Cokes here like 70, they're about 70 cents, 60 to 70 cents. You can probably find them for about 65 cents in typical vending machines, right? New York City, and this is not at the airport. A random place, a vending machine was charging $1.25 for a Coke.
Oh, I bet.
And that was a can, a 12-ounce can, not a bottle.
Yeah, oh, I bet.
So it's one of those crazy things. It's like, what is going on? It's like,
well, they probably have a soda tax. Doesn't Maryland have a soda tax?
Actually, no, we don't.
Okay, good news, good.
We have a tax on.
Don't give me any ideas, Dave.
Oh yeah, no.
We've got a tax on snacks in general. Anything out of a vending machine, which used to be tax-free, now you pay a 6% sales tax on it.
Well, Chris's line about "don't give me any ideas" reminds me of the joke that Bob Dole used to tell, that Ted Kennedy and Bob Dole were on the Senate floor, and Bob Dole asked the members, "Now let's tax our memory," and Ted Kennedy jumped up and said, "Can we do that?" So yeah, you don't want to tax, you don't want to give them ideas. So,
no more ideas.
And I mean, we've got. I mean, I just see good things in 2026 going for us. I think a lot of things are changing. Things are getting better. We're seeing a lot of stuff come into fruition. I mean, looks like we might have peace in Ukraine, maybe. And looks like peace is holding in the Middle East. We are taking down drug boats in warehouses now in Venezuela. We've got our blockade in place there.
Not a blockade. It's a quarantine. That's you have to say
that's true.
quarantine.
Yeah,
You can't say blockade.
Blockade is an act of war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I wrote, if you get a chance, I wrote a good bit about along the lines, Dwight, that I thought Republicans could end up carrying or keeping the House. And I wrote a piece on how it's been a good year, and that should be reflected, I would hope. So check it out. But you just never know. Well, like you said, I mean, it'll take a few more months maybe for the big, beautiful bill to kind of reach out and have some sort of effect. So you don't know. But so far, it's been going pretty well.
Hey guys, I got a question for you. If I say Maryland, Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, which state has the best quality of public education for the students? Where the kids are really knocking it out of the park? Which of those states would you say?
Did you say Mississippi in there?
Yeah, Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, and Maryland. Of those 4 states. And Maryland spends the most per kid.
Oh, yeah.
Of the 4 states there.
I think Mississippi's improved.
I think it has too.
I think it has.
And you guys are right. And not have they improved, they have leaped past Maryland.
Yeah.
Maryland is doing worse than Mississippi, Alabama, and Louisiana, and probably West Virginia too. I don't know. But Dave, I don't know about you guys, but growing up, we would always make fun of Alabama and Mississippi education. If you remember, Don, when Bill Clinton ran in 1992, the Saturday Night Live skit about how when Arkansas just passed the move from 50 to 49, and he says, Mississippi, we're in your rearview mirror. These schools are doing better, and they're spending less money per child, which tells you the problem is not the money. It is the way the woke educational system, lack of discipline in these schools. And that's a real problem. I think today's days, there's this clear lack of discipline amongst kids in schools. And you don't fail kids anymore in Montgomery County. I think that's probably might be all over the great state of Maryland. They just decide, we're just going to lower the standard. 50 is now going to be a C. 50%, if you get half the answers, you get a C. And that is a real, and that's another concern that, why are sitting members of Congress like April Delaney or Jamie Raskin even talking about this? And we as Marylanders should be walking around with brown paper bags over our heads. The fact that we are surrounded by science and technology. We've got NASA, we've got NIST, we've got NIH. All these, you think really smart scientific places, our kids would be the brightest of the bright. But no, they're not. Because I want to say about 20 years ago, public schools decided, they're going to indoctrinate and play politics instead of teaching reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Couldn't agree more.
Does April Delaney, does she ever do forums or anything like that, or does she feel she's better than that? I would love for somebody to ask her that question or give her a brown paper bag to put over her head.
I didn't give her the name Do Nothing Delaney for no reason.
Yeah.
She doesn't seem to, again, I think her job is to give an occasional handout to CD6 and then basically stay off the radar completely. And then when she does make a decision, she either regrets it or backtracks from it. So I can't imagine you're going to get a substantive question or answer out of her regarding education. All 4 of my kids are in Montgomery County Public Schools. And I can tell you, we've lived in Virginia, we lived in Florida, we lived in California and Hawaii. This is the most disappointed I've ever been in terms of misguided priorities and a lack of focus on education.
Like
All
when
the other
Don and
stuff
I,
seems to be more important.
like when Don and I were back in MCPS schools, we were the envy of the country. Montgomery County Public Schools were the best in the country. The worst school in Montgomery County was the envy for the rest of the state of Maryland.
Yeah.
Now it's just another bad school in the state of Maryland, you know. And that's a real problem. And it's sad that none of these politicians can seem to bring themselves to talk about this.
And I think there's some well-intentioned teachers. It's the union that really has to get out of the way. And you have to get policymakers focused again on celebrating merit, focus on achievement, and then core learning as opposed to all this other peripheral crap. Because quite frankly, it's not preparing students to compete in what's going to be a hyper-competitive job environment over the next 10 to 15 years. I mean, we're not preparing kids well.
I mean, it's like, you can't just run around, patting yourselves on the back saying, we got the most diverse kids in the school. Our kids care more about social issues than anyone else, That doesn't mean a thing. If we are to get to the moon again, if we are to get to Mars and beyond, we need to have smart STEM kids, frankly. We're falling behind. I remember back in the 80s, it was always I remember there was a famous political cartoon, I believe it was New York Times, where it was like a June piece about how little Bobby goes off to summer vacation and little Yukio goes to summer vacation. They show Bobby just playing and goofing off all summer long, and then he starts like 2 months behind from when he left in June, while Yukio is spending this time, learning and is, ready for the next grade. And Montgomery County Public Schools, they don't seem to care about kids' performances as long as they're well-rounded woke boxes. That's all they care about.
I remember several years ago, there was a study, and it said Minnesota had like the best school system. And it's very important because you want to attract people to your state. And also, there's a connection between better education and higher incomes and wealth. So you want a good education. So, but I remember you're right. Those days when Montgomery County Public Schools and Fairfax were very good.
You're right too,
So, but they slipped a long time ago. And in Fairfax, I think they're just sort of living off their name because people keep thinking of the great school system of Fairfax.
It's the same way in Montgomery County,
Yeah.
Yes. Although we still do have some nationally ranked schools, but we used to be the cream of the crop. We're not,
Yeah.
They've got, you still have Thomas Edison, Thomas Jefferson in Fairfax, which is always a well-ranked school. You've got my alma mater, Monkey Blair, another math science magnet school. They always rank well. Walt Whitman, Walter Johnson, BCC, Richard Montgomery. They're always going to do well.
But with Virginia, the Wokesters, and we had the great school, Thomas Jefferson, awesome school. They decided to destroy it because what they did is they got rid of the top merit-based sort of standards and wanted to go woke.
They did that to our program too in Montgomery County.
Yeah. So they screwed the school over. So they screwed the school over. So no longer is it as great. So, they went woke on us, and I think they're going to change the Thomas Jefferson name. Maybe they've already done that too. So it's horrible. The ideology, when I was young, they used to say politics should stop at the schoolhouse door. Well, the politics has not stopped at the schoolhouse door. It's in the door. They went to the bathroom and put tampons in the boys' room. So that's what happened to the schools. They went woke.
And it builds on accountability. Like you have to instill some level. I'm always amazed at there's no hard lines. They can retake a test. They can retake a quiz. They turn in homework late. They can turn it in some other time. And they got so concerned about self-esteem and they got so concerned about people feeling good about what they're doing. They forgot to teach them. And then what you're learning in school is how to address distractions, deadlines, and balancing all of these things out, and then gaining competency through hard work. And anymore, I find myself doing more at home, more and more at home than we've ever done in the past, because they're just not getting taught those lessons in school.
Yeah, I mean, the school system here, like Dwight said, I mean, used to be really good, but that was the day. Those were the days when it wasn't politicized.
Mhm.
We still had teachers unions, but they've become more powerful, and that their agenda really comes down to with the curriculum, the woke curriculum, and everything else that goes on. Is that let's see what we can do to kind of mold these young minds towards the social justice warriors of the future that we can churn out in liberal Montgomery County. And it's a ridiculous thing to see. And so that's why, I mean, I've got several friends, they don't put their kids in Montgomery County schools. They homeschool them. They find all their, they or do something. They find alternatives because it's just like this is just not working at all, for them.
Well, I think people have confused. There was a time whenever if you were teaching your children to question things, that was critical thinking. That has turned into this sort of opposition approach where now you're just teaching them not to think, you're just teaching them to repeat this sort of social justice mantra. So I think in the past, people have seen that like engaged students should challenge and try to address different issues. But now, instead of being able to address anything, they're being hyper criticized, hyper policed in that how they speak and what they speak. And if you step out of line to what the acceptable margin is, you're going to face significant backlash. And that to me is the exact opposite of what we should be trying to instill, which is problem solving and critical thinking.
And I don't know if you read our article we had a few weeks ago about how, reading, they're not teaching phonics. They're basically teaching,
Sight words.
Memorize. Yeah. And honestly, that's kind of, I mean, I know they do. It's kind of like rote, sort of like, this is what it is. Don't need to understand. But they used to use that for those who had severe learning disabilities, people who had dyslexia, they go, this is this, But that is another problem. Public schools phonics has worked for years. It's proven, and all of a sudden they're saying that no, phonics doesn't work. I mean, people have said phonics is racist. They say critical thinking is racism, grammar, math, everything is racist now. So it's like, I bet I could go through MCPS today, have ChatGPT write every single one of my articles, really poorly researched, and I'd still probably get out with a 3.5 GPA, frankly.
Oh, the lack of critical thinking is shocking. Like I said, my kids are all biracial. My wife grew up in West Africa. And then whenever you see this stuff being jammed down their throat and you're supposed to be outraged by these things, and it's like, there is no actual outrage. I don't understand what you're trying to drive here. I want my kids to get as great of an education as possible. I don't want them fixated on all of this peripheral nonsense. Challenge them to the standard and then give them the confidence to exceed that standard. Don't tell them we're going to lower the standard because you're biracial or because you're white, your mom speaks with a bit of an accent from West Africa. Hold them to task, teach them what they need to learn, and then let them succeed. It's amazing to me how we've completely lost this narrative to woke ideology.
And,
I'm sorry, that one got me a little excited. I got
no. Let me tell you, I totally agree with you. It's like I remember, what is it? I was watching an old episode of the Cosby Show spinoff called A Different World, right? And that is like a horrible. I mean, they just preach the victim mentality. There's an episode where one of the math teachers is telling the kids, "You guys are black. You guys have to be better because people are going to see." And I'm thinking like, no, it's not. Nobody, it's not 1965 or 1975, frankly. It's all about merit. It's a meritocracy, not about, But we are getting close to final thoughts, and I know Dave has to jump off pretty fast. So, Dave, we'll start with you. Final thoughts.
You're on mute.
You're muted, Dave.
Yeah, I had the wrong one. I'm sorry. I hit that one. Well, Continuing to crank out the columns in my own Substack, so check it out. And I do have a podcast, so my own. So if you don't get enough of me here, you can always check me out there. And well, I'm looking forward to a good year. I think it could be economical. I hope the numbers with the GDP and the inflation are looking good. So maybe Republicans will do better than people think in the midterms. And I think they can. And yeah, just hoping we don't have too rough of a winter. So hopefully the winter won't be so bad. But otherwise, doing good. And I don't really have any team in the playoffs though. The Commanders, of course, didn't make it. I was kind of rooting for the Lions, but they're done. So I don't know. I don't even know
Hey,
who.
Dave, who are the Redskins fans blaming? Are they still blaming Dan Snyder for having a crappy team? Because it was all Dan Snyder's fault.
I do in a way. I mean, the Commanders had a rough season this season. That's true, but they're coming off a very good season last year. So I think this is more of an aberration. And also with Jaden Daniels, there's always that sophomore sort of jinx where kind of your second year can be a little rough. So I think if he comes back healthy, I think they've got a bright future. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he missed a bunch of games, and there are a lot of other injury issues and things like that. We don't know how much that played into it overall, but it was a complete reversal from last year. So next year, I think will be hopefully a little more telling if he stays healthy. I agree.
And I think Schneider, isn't he out of the country right now? He's like living in London, I thought I heard. He's like living in England.
Like that, yeah.
Yeah.
He's gone back to the Empire to live there for a while. But anyways, Don, final thoughts. By the way, Dave, any New Year's resolutions? You making any resolutions?
No, not really, because I never usually would keep them. I've started to do a little better now in terms of eating more salads, so I'm going to try to be a little more healthy. But diet-wise, I'm worse probably than you guys in terms of I'm a fast food junkie, really, and so yeah, I got to work on the diet. But I'm starting to add a salad now, once a day.
It is nice McDonald's still serves the salad.
A Big Mac salad.
Yeah, I have the Big Mac earlier in the day, but then the salad later.
Does McDonald's still sell salads? Remember when they brought those out, they used to have those.
They used to. I don't know if they still do. You know what was a good McDonald's product, which they don't do anymore, is they used to do a, was it a burrito or some Mexican food? It wasn't bad. Was it a burrito or something they did? Which I didn't think.
They did do a breakfast burrito. I think they might.
They have the stuff in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah. So, a great American company, by the way. I mean, McDonald's is so iconic. You've got to admit that. So, but anyway, that's about it. So hopefully we'll have a good new year, and hopefully I'll come back to Maryland and speak again on my books and politics. So, fingers crossed. So we'll see.
Final thoughts, Don Irvine.
Yeah. So one of the things that continues to bother me is this whole Democrat nonsense over the enhanced benefits subsidies that have expired now for Obamacare, for which the Republicans never voted for to begin with. This was a Democrat scheme. But I thought there was interesting piece in the Wall Street Journal the other day, kind of detailing some of the figures here about what the Democrats have done to this and how distorted the market is. That it's taxpayers have paid more than $114 billion directly to insurers in 2024, 1/3 after inflation, more than in 2023, more than double in 2020 before the enhanced subsidies. The thing is that these subsidies were not really meant to do take the place of 80%, 90% of, and give it to people who could easily afford to pay. And so, the Democrats make this argument continually that, these poor people are going to be facing these skyrocketing premiums. I want them to answer the question. It's like, so what were the premiums like before you got these, enhanced subsidies that basically picked up almost all of your premium to begin with? What were you doing then? and the Democrats probably don't want to deal with that because that won't further their agenda at all. They just want to get on their soapbox and say, the Republicans are just, they're cruel and everything else, and we've got to extend these subsidies. Republicans, as they get towards trying to negotiate this budget, is that they have to continue to stand firm and not give in to these enhanced subsidies, that the Democrats want to continue at all. It's not a good deal for the American taxpayer at all. It's a distortion of the market. But this is the problem when you pass laws like this, is that it becomes an entitlement of sorts, right? It's, they say these are temporary. Democrats are looking to make this permanent. And that's just, absolutely ridiculous to see that happen. And then just another one, just CNN had an early poll showing that J.D. Vance is well ahead of any potential challengers on Republican side, whether it's Nikki Haley or Tulsi Gabbard or whatever. He's well over 50% at this point. It's super early because we don't, at this stage. But I think it's hard, no matter where we are, to figure out how anybody else would really legitimately challenge JD for 2028, at least on the Republican side. So anyway.
But here's the thing: Republicans do better when we get behind somebody early. We do much better than the generals, But,
well, it'll be a lot better than having 15 people running, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if JD is the clear front runner, and if you get 2 or 3 people challenging him, that's fine. You can knock him off in the primaries and take control, still early in the process. Just don't let it drag on through the primary season. But he continues to keep his nose to the grindstone, doing a good job. I think he becomes, the clear nominee, and he stays in Trump's good graces. He'll be known as the MAGA heir, so people are going to like that too.
Any resolutions, Don?
Resolution, actually, it's an old one. In terms of what people tend to do, it's like want to lose weight and everything like this. One of the other side effects of my cancer medications is that it tends to make me gain weight, and I continue to fight this. I go to the gym 6 days a week, and I'm on the elliptical, and trying to do that, and I realized my diet wasn't the best, but I didn't make that many adjustments from pre-cancer diagnosis to post-cancer, except for the medication. And okay, this is getting out of hand. I was like, I don't like my weight keeps going, inching up. So I'm going to have a more concerted effort to, increase the exercise and be better with the diet. So even the last few days, my snacking habits, which I'm a terrible person on snacking, I've actually done much better. And I'm thinking, okay, now I just got to keep it up. So, quit eating all that stuff that my wife buys at Costco. Just every time I go in Costco, just bypass the snack aisle. I will be a better person by the end of 2026 for it.
Okay. Final thoughts, Chris Burnett.
Well, January is going to be a busy month. Doing somewhat of a media blitz. I'm going to hit all of the Republican clubs and central committees again. I'm pushing my innovation corridor as my way of addressing affordability. And that is looking at trying to first reel in the overdevelopment that's occurring in Frederick and across mid and Western Maryland. What my concern is that this development's going to occur. And if we don't empower the local residents so that they can control the health, safety, and environmental standards, it becomes a zero-sum game between developers and residents. So my goal is to align federal resources behind local resident concerns. Things like no more eminent domain power lines, no diesel generators, a standoff for any of these data centers so that they're not anywhere near a residential or school area. And I want to make sure that what we are doing allows mid and Western Maryland to take advantage of the AI economy. There's tremendous amount of opportunity here. This is the best way to address affordability is through opportunity. But what we need to do is reel this in so that as we bring in these big tech companies, they know exactly what they're getting into and they can help out with our infrastructure concerns. And that would include the American Legion Bridge, I-270, I-70, I-68. It would require them to have small modular reactors. And I've described these as what aircraft carriers have been using for 20 or 30 years, what nuclear submarines have been using for 20 or 30 years. So that if you're going to build a data center, first, local residents' concerns are forefront. And then if you're going to do this, you've got to provide your own energy. And that energy, any surplus is going to go into the grid to help offset our residential costs. So I've been making a big push to reintroduce myself to all the clubs, the central committees, and a lot of community events this month. And we're doing a media blitz because this is something that it needs to be addressed. And we need to give mid and Western Maryland a voice again so that they can take advantage of these enormous opportunities that exist right now. And if you look at what we did with the tech corridor and how we propped up the biotech industry, we can do the same with AI, quantum computing, and advanced manufacturing, but we have to do it with a plan. So it's going to be a busy month. I'm excited. I enjoy talking about this. I haven't heard any Democrat mention anything about addressing affordability through opportunity. They want to do more handouts. They want to redistribute wealth. I want to give people career level jobs from the construction phase all the way through to research and development across all those different sectors. So I think I'll see you tomorrow night at Adam's event. Is that right?
Yes, I will be there.
Thank you for the invite. I'm looking forward to it. I might have one or two of the little ones with me, so just stand by for two little dust clouds that are moving with me. But otherwise, thanks again. Great show.
Yeah. Any resolutions other than putting April Delaney into retirement?
That is the first informed. That is it. But I am trying to I want to run a little bit more. I'm trying to rebuild some of the strength in my knees. I've got bad knees from 22 years on active duty and carrying a pack. Even as a lawyer, I seem to carry a lot of flack in gear over the years, it seems like. And I'm also I'm rereading my Bible in a year. So I'm trying to do that again. And this time not get 2, 3, 4 weeks behind.
Cool. Basically, we are at 2026. Started off with a 90-day resolution of not having any candy. By the way, John, it's funny. I was over at Costco. I'm like, hey, 2026 is coming. I may as well buy 2 of the big bottles of the peanut M&Ms, And I had it with the car, and I'm like, I better not. So when I went down when I was in Florida, I gave my great niece and great nephew a bottle of the giant bottle, which my nephew and his wife were not too pleased. But it's always fun seeing kids' faces light up when they open their presents or see a jar of candy that's bigger than their face. But it was a wonderful holiday season. We are now in 2026, yet busy. There's a lot of opportunities out there. We over at Direct Line, we're going to be doing special spotlights on plans and projects. And Chris, I'll talk to you later about that. I think your tech corridor deserves kind of like a spotlight type story. And so let's see what we can do. Get an article together, for you on that topic about your plan. Because this is the most innovative plan I've heard in years, frankly.
Well, if we can pull it off, it'll reinvent Western Maryland, and ideally, it'll put the residents' concerns at the forefront. Because right now, it's whack-a-mole, and it's unfortunate.
And here's the thing: is like the other thing that most people you think politicians would learn, especially April McLean Delaney, who lives in Montgomery County. You need to have infrastructure before you build those houses. You think she would have learned that? No, she has not learned that lesson because Montgomery County, look at Damascus. The traffic going to Damascus, the traffic going to Poolesville is insane. And do we have the infrastructure to support all that traffic going to Poolesville? No, we don't. We don't have that infrastructure right now.
Mhm.
28 becomes like a 2-lane road when you get closer, when you're past the Quince Orchard area.
Mhm.
And you'd think they'd understand about infrastructure. So, my New Year's resolution this year, this might be a little bit of a tougher one. Actually, I got a couple. And, my resolutions are always 90 days long. And this year, I decided one thing I'm doing is I am cutting back on my pizza intake to having pizza twice a month. So I'll still have pizza, but it's only going to be twice a month. And my 90-day big one is giving up cookies is the big one, which I think I can do that. I mean, I don't even miss these. I thought I'd break these open and eat them by now. I've not even touched them yet. So
That's why you're holding that up. It's making me hungry.
these are good, though. I know
Yeah.
if I opened this up, I would not stop with just one. Because and what's really great is the drive back. I would always get a bag of M&Ms to eat, keep me from getting drowsy while driving and stuff like that. No, didn't even do that this time. I've gotten used to having Cheez-Its in the car while I'm driving. I substituted the M&Ms with Cheez-It crackers, which taste. I forgot how good those things taste, by the way. I know a lot of people prefer goldfish, cheddar cheese goldfish crackers to Cheez-Its, but I think Cheez-Its are the best crackers in the world, frankly. But that's all I've got. And please support our sponsors, Masoni's Restaurant in Perry Hall, Maryland. Go out, check them out. Great food, great people. Go to Masoni's, our sponsor. And we're actually going to have 2 more sponsors for this year, Don, for Dr. Politics. So, yeah, so go to Masoni's, everyone. And good night.
Good
See
night.
you around.
And good luck to the people in New York City and living under the reign of Mamdani. Good night, all.
Let's go down to Masoni's, where Italian cuisine shines.